let me introduce myself. Yeah, I think I was scammed. Well, I just began helping my fan, baby. Some people live for attention, playing the victim, but baby, I was born to do the killing.
Welcome to the Hateful Show, your one-stop shop liquor store of internet debauchery. I am your clerk, Hateful Tate. Can I interest you in our discount of Tide Pot mixers? I'd like to propose a toast to our honored topic for this evening, Lokey, or Lokey is Daddy on Twitter, for being the Darwin in social Darwinism. Starting a YouTube channel back in May 10th, 2016, under the alias of Davis Cedris Gaming, where he made gameplay commentary videos. Around March 25th, 2017, he transitioned to the name Lokey and his content to reactionary commentary, from one low tier of content creation to another, but what can you expect from the commentary community? Today his channel has grown to almost 200,000 subscribers and has reined in millions of views. But we're not going to be discussing the quality of Daddy Lokey's channel or the questionable trend of said reactions. Today we'll be looking into the accusations of the checkered past of this individual, as well as the more mystical elements of Lokey's psychology these exceptional individuals have to say about him. One can speculate that Lokey transitioned to his current platform in March of 2017 was due to the state of the environment within the community he was a part of. He started off as a small fish surrounded by much larger ones in 2016. You need to do whatever it takes to remain relevant in such a community with names such as Pyrocynical, who's been on this platform much longer than him and had already gained a substantial following and dedicated viewer base. Even under his former alias as a gaming channel, he was always seen as a joke amongst his peers. Even to this day, his much larger and successful channel has been kept as the biggest inside joke of the commentary community. But why is that? The reason being was the negative reputation tied to his history on YouTube. Let's go through the list real quick. Pledging money to people's Patreons and streams and then pulling away the payments, sharing his old videos on popular commentators' subreddits, leaking face reveals, and taking people's Patreon rewards without paying them back. Oh my. Alright, Hateful, what else has this vile degenerate been up to? During my research, I came across 3 comprehensive videos that shed some insight to the lore on Lokey React Son. A pattern I'm sure you've already picked up on is that this topic is covered by channels of a reasonably large subscriber base, with the viewership of each video becoming progressively larger with each newer instance. Much like the tweets I just shared, you'll begin to notice a common theme between the posts of the videos being covered through each segment. That being, they make substantial claims with little to no fucking evidence to back up this to suit the narrative they're covering. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What else does this baseless trilogy have to add to the list of accusations, Hateful? I'm glad you asked. We've got doxing, faking gun scares, stealing thumbnails, and viewbotting. However, the most damning of these accusations is his manipulation of minors and predatory behavior on the internet. Now, before you click off this video, let me tell you one more thing. They claim he's under the age of 18. They get younger every time, and I'm not just talking about the predators, but the thought process of the dumbasses who make this kind of content. Unfortunately, the comment section of these videos do not agree with me. But enough of me trying to acknowledge the fallacy of argument ad populum as a valid form of logic. Let's rip into this.
I have to fucking remember that line.
Our first straw man we'll be tearing apart is this 100k plus YouTuber is manipulating his young female audience. Conceived by Dan Arkey back in September of 2018. Look at this badass. Labeled by the YouTube channel of one Dr. Phil as the commentary cop.
I'm more of a commentary hitman.
Oh shit. I better watch my back before this guy makes a video on me. Dan's nutshell thesis for this video is, I'm gonna list off a bunch of things Lokey has done and by the end of it, you'll hate this guy too. Seems pretty straightforward. Now, there's a few things I want to point out before we get into this. The first being that like these 3 videos, Dan is shamelessly monetizing his own to profit from this drama. But this is YouTube. It's a business after all, and he can do whatever he wants with his content and his channel, same as Lokey. Then again, he hasn't really gained much attention to potentially profit off of this, despite the endorsement from bigger and more recognizable names on this platform. But I'm also one not to judge one's own credibility on analytics or viewership alone.
When you have over 100,000 subscribers but only 300 followers on Twitter, you know nobody is taking you seriously.
Oh no. The next point is that Officer Dan did this as a request. Can't imagine from who or why though. There were no ethical or moral stakes for Dan Arkey as a content creator to cover this dank degenerate for a commentary channel. which is perfectly fine. As I said before, his name, his channel, that's on the chopping block. The third point is that Lokey's greatest defense is that no one takes him seriously. Fourth, there is no Google Doc in this video for the viewers to look over the evidence independently from the video. The final and most essential point our hitman claims to have met and spoken with Lokey back in 2017, stating that this soon-to-be predator was 15 at the time, although Dan himself will state that
16, 17 years old. Because he's a massive liar and a manipulator, no one knows exactly how old he is. Some people claim that he said he is as old as 18 or 19, but when I first met Lokey about a year and 9 months ago, he said he was 15, so that would make him either 16 or 17 right now.
Tying into the theme of the castration of these channels' credibility, I'm sure that our badass commentary hitman will put the same fear of God into you just as he had done with Lokey. So we'll be starting with the lore of Davis Cedrus Gaming back in 2017.
Lokey pulled tens of Patreon scams, signing up to support all of these creators and then pulling out just before the money went out of his account. He would also offer to pay people money to do various tasks and help him grow his channel in any way, including donating on stream for a shout out, and then after the stream had ended he'd charge back his PayPal payment to the streamer, Jamie Pine, and offered to pay him $100 if Jamie Pine would go up to Pyrocynical and tell Pyrocynical to comment on Lokey's most recent video. Obviously Jamie Pine did it because, well, he's Jamie Pine, and obviously Lokey didn't pay because he's Lokey. Times he's run these similar scams where he pretends he's going to pay someone to do something and then takes the money back or doesn't pay. But I can't even count the amount of times I've heard these stories. He asked Aiden Projects if he could borrow $100 from him and said that he'd pay him back. Aiden said no, and a couple of days later, Aiden asked him, when you wanted to borrow that money, did you actually plan on paying me back or did you just want to take it? Lokey then claimed that really what he was doing was asking people for $100 as a social experiment, and Aiden Projects into going to a fake YouTube URL, which all it really did was just stole Aiden Projects' IP address that Lokey could then use to dox Aiden. His friend Scrubby sent him some money when they were both smaller commentators, but accidentally left his address on his PayPal account. Lokey obviously could grab that address and decided to dox Scrubby. He then acquired photos of the faces of Turkey Tom and Benji before he had face revealed, and then went on to circulate these images without either of their permission. Both of them wanted their faces to remain secret, but Lokey just thought he'd spread around these images.
A round of applause for Dan's CNN levels of news reporting. Remember guys, Davis is the Brian among the commentators on YouTube due to the frequency of his alleged actions. Doing some digging on threads on Twitter, that seems to be the case. His activities definitely seem to have given him that reputation, but who is really at fault for giving Davis this Pepe tier lolcow shield? Lokey has become the butt of this joke of a community. However, I could turn the label around you guys with my own, but where's the evidence? Hopefully you'll make the time for your follow-up on this topic, Dan the man. I know Lokey isn't worth your time because he's such a degenerate, but I hope you can make some to respond to someone who's calling you out. Next, we move on to Lokey's rise to fame in 2018. Dan without a plan claims he achieved this by viewbotting.
I even managed to acquire this screenshot of Lokey inquiring about buying some views before you start calling me out, so, oh, it's just an allegation. No, it's real. It actually happened.
I see. Well, then I guess all questions have been answered. This is definitely Lokey and he's purchased these bots. So where's the receipt and transaction of payment information? How did you get a hold of that message? How do we even know that's Lokey? I mean, is this Lokey? I don't know, it has the same name and everything. Dan the Hitman said he chatted with Lokey. Surely he could give us a DM comparison of the two users' VPN numbers. A call with this user for a voice comparison? No? Wonderful job, Dan. We may never know that this was actually Lokey. The funny thing about this log is that about over a month after this alleged purchase had happened, Lokey's Discord account was hacked and he was unable to access it. He tweeted out what I assumed to be his newest handle, but even that no longer is a viable option to reach him.
He was privately discussing what kind of video ideas he had, and he came up with this idea, oh, I found this video online, it's called Dear 13-year-old Boys, I want to make a reaction commentary to this video. Lokey interjects immediately, and remember these guys are friends, he steals the video idea and rushes the video out as quickly as possible to get in there before Benji.
Yeah man, Lokey definitely rushed this idea out to steal it from Benji 9 months after the fact.
What?
Around a month after this theft, Benji tweeted out his statement about his ended relationship with Lokey on March 21st, 2018, with a linked post from Twitlonger. This, as well, had no substantial evidence like screenshots, logs, or a link to a recorded confession call. Purely testimonial. Again, baseless accusations without citation or evidence. Finally, let's move on to the accusations of predatory behavior. The final straw, as it's unironically titled. Lokey used to be close friends with Benji, so close that the 13-year-old YouTuber gave Davis a picture of his face, which Lokey used to manipulate Benji's female underage fans into giving him lewds. But we actually have some logs in this instance, so once more, Dan, my man, take it away.
So here is a screenshot I received recently which shows Lokey, or Davis, speaking to a 13-year-old girl. The backstory here is Lokey had blocked this girl on Twitter because she wouldn't send him pictures of herself in just a bra. When she texted him to try and find out what was going on, he insisted that in order for him to unblock her, she must send these photos. In the corresponding message with these screenshots, the young girl also said that Lokey was insisting that she call him Daddy.
So a couple things I wanted to point out. First of all, Scarecrow mentions that this was due to the fact that this alleged 12-year-old girl was being manipulated by having Lokey block her on Twitter, yet this conversation happened on iMessage? Shouldn't that mean that she has Lokey's phone number? Doesn't that mean you, Dan, would have had access to that phone number? Why didn't you find out who it was and where they lived before claiming it was Lokey? Why didn't you use this number to report this person to the police, even if it wasn't him? Again, very odd. Second being, where's the mention of her age? Where's the mention of his age? Show us the face he used to coerce these girls. If it's out there in the possession of these victims, it's not really a secret. How can you make a video with so many holes in your narrative? Why must I, the viewer, have to do all this research outside of the video? You call yourself a commentary hitman, but I bet you couldn't even find proof that someone like Chris Chan has autism. Congratulations. This video has definitely assassinated any credibility I have towards your content. This is why a Google Doc is so essential for your audience so they can look over the evidence on their own time, but also add additional information when someone comes forward to you with more concrete proof in the future. But that's what the comments section is for, I guess. Well, that's 16 minutes and 11 seconds of my life I'll never get back. Thanks to Dan Archie for this gem. I know you're not high up there in the algorithm compared to your successors on this topic, but when it comes to content like yours, it's on the fucking mountain peak on my priorities. Be sure to subscribe to his channel, like this and his other videos, and don't forget to follow him on Twitter. I know I will be after this.
Oh shit, oh hey, pray them niggas go, hey. Oh, we sell the clowns around, it look like circus shows, hey. This is not the album either, these are just the dough, hey. This shit's still so cold when it drop, it's gonna be a motherfucking snow.
Aubrey is another individual who made claims against Lokey in a YouTube video. So let's go over the validity of these claims. Right off the bat, Lokey is being framed as a scumbag. And not only is he a scumbag in the eyes of Aubrey, but he also claims this scumbag's actions are so ghastly that he wishes he could go back to the days of making fun of other past YouTubers. So we have a factual claim being made, and that factual claim is that Lokey did actions that Aubrey thinks are ghastly and that make Lokey a scumbag. Now, how is Aubrey gonna justify Lokey's actions as being worthy of the scumbag and ghastly label? Let's find out.
But if manipulating your fans, doxing your friends, and backstabbing fellow creators doesn't put you up there with some of the biggest goddamn leeches on the site, I don't know what does.
Aubrey claims that Lokey manipulates his fans. This is extremely vague. I mean, what does this guy define as manipulation exactly? If I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel in a video, and then you do it, I am technically manipulating you into an action that I desire from you. So what is the nature of this manipulation exactly? Aubrey also claims that Lokey doxed his friends and backstabs fellow content creators. I'm guessing he's going to go into more detail later on, and while it's still really early, none of these claims made against Lokey have yet to be substantiated by any evidence, and I want you to keep that in mind as we continue forward.
I'll just show you.
You guys know the girl named Lauren Gray? I think I didn't even say it right.
How do you stay there in my mind? Doing
And he disappeared again.
all my time when you chose to walk out of why you hitting me now, hitting me now.
Holy shit, she broke the picture frame.
Yeah, some top-notch comedy right here, boys.
Now, Aubrey shows us examples of Lokey's work, and then he claims that Lokey's content is not even commentary content. I'm not sure what kind of definition of commentary Aubrey is working with, but it seems to me that if Lokey is commenting on segments of a video, even if what Lokey is saying is obvious, and what he's saying is in a kind of voice style that you don't like preferentially, it seems to me that it's still a commentary, because as far as I'm concerned, a commentary is when somebody comments about a piece of media. The quality of that commentary, in other words, the preferential aspects one might hold about it, are irrelevant to the fact that somebody is commenting on a piece of media. So it's not that it's not a commentary, it's that Aubrey does not like Lokey's style of commentary. This guy's retarded.
Because, hey, viewbotting won't exactly get you the shiniest of reputation.
The screenshot in question shows a user that has been censored out, appearing to offer botting services to another user account with the name Lokey. The dilemma that claiming this is Lokey can simply be argued with anybody can use the screen name Lokey on Discord. It is not demonstrated by this screenshot alone that this is the same Lokey of the YouTube channel. Without cross-referencing the voice of this user with Lokey's own voice, how do you know it's him? How do you know it wasn't me? So unless this person has a similar voice box and manner of speaking as Lokey, to the degree where identifying different individuals becomes extremely unlikely, which in of itself is extremely unlikely, you would have far superior evidence that this person is the same Lokey as on the YouTube channel. What you will realize very soon, or perhaps what you have realized already, is that Aubrey completely fails at providing a strong standard of evidence to support his narrative about Lokey, much less prove he's done these actions. Without this strong standard of evidence, we cannot say that we are justified in holding these accusations as justified true beliefs. Because of the way the evidence is being interpreted by Aubrey, it leaves room for logical errors. For example, this username has the name Lokey. Thus, it must be Lokey. Based on this logical reasoning, we cannot say beyond a reasonable doubt that this Lokey in the screenshot is the same Lokey J. Aubrey is talking about in his YouTube video.
It does pale in comparison to utilizing your friendships with bigger creators to, scam them, which is a thing that he's done. Perhaps you've heard the name Aiden Projects thrown around a bit. A 13-year-old commentator/editor who was scammed by fellow YouTuber and human sack of mashed potatoes Chubbs just last year. But before DJ Killer Keemstar turned him into the internet sensation he is today, he actually made a video on Lokey, detailing how our buddy Davis has tried to scam him.
It is then claimed that Lokey is scamming other creators by leveraging his friendships against them. Aubrey says it's a thing that he's done. This claim is then justified by Aubrey on the basis of anecdotal account. He says that the YouTuber Chubbs, in a video previously uploaded to his channel, said that Lokey did scam him for money by utilizing his friendship with him. I don't care about the purely testimonial bullshit some fat retard says about somebody else. I care about said fat retard, and by extension Aubrey, giving me material evidence that these claimed actions were committed by this scumbag you're calling out. The reality is that Chubbs is a human being with a set of senses that can deceive him. He can have other motivations and reasons for his articulations other than telling the 100% honest truth about what happened in any given situation. Given that his account can be false, intentionally or not, and that we have no way to demonstrate, based on Chubbs' words alone, that what he is saying is the truth about what occurred, we cannot say that what he says is necessarily true. I mean, what this is all translating to me is more reasons to look up instructions on how to hang myself most effectively.
He also had a tendency to donate to various creators either via stream or Patreon in an attempt to gain their trust. Then at last minute, he would refund the money back to his PayPal, thus making his friendship an overall false pretense. Some of the more notable contenders being Jamie Pine and I'm Alex. He even continued to use Alex's Patreon rewards for months without paying a single dime. Kind of a dick move.
More accusations of Lokey scamming other YouTubers out of money are then made by Aubrey, and none of them substantiated by any evidence.
To the people who know me, I'm someone who strongly believes in the notion of self-improvement. Sometimes people do bad things. Sometimes people do terrible things, often not thinking about the consequences of their actions and the people they may be affecting. This is particularly prevalent on the internet.
I don't care about your subjective preferences on morality, Tro. I care about the facts. Get to the fucking point.
I was willing to help him improve. Hell, he even asked me for an audio part on a video that he was making. And I said sure. That video, alas, is nowhere to be found anymore.
Oh man, Tro is such a good guy. Willing to help Lokey improve.
Thing is, what Lokey had done is levied his friend's power and said to meet him you have to give this creature the tasty pics.
Yeah, but where's the proof any of this happened? No recorded call, no logs, nothing that tells me what Tro says about Lokey is a fact. We have yet another useless anecdotal account that can be completely discarded.
He has never intended to improve and will likely abuse it again when he becomes desperate and impatient enough. And now he actually has subscribers because reaction commentary doesn't require you to be funny or charismatic to succeed, although some reaction commentators are that. Lokey isn't. Oh, and he botted too.
These guys don't have a solid framework to determine what should be constituted as true and what should not be. I recommend you stick to your gay little commentary videos and stop LARPing as internet detectives. You're fucking shit at it.
Doxes his friends just for the hell of it. Yeah, that's probably why. My boy Scrubby used to be pretty good friends with Davis. Apparently, Lokey is such a loose cannon that he has no problem at all with releasing the address of his own friend just because he thought it'd be funny.
It is then claimed by Aubrey that Lokey doxes his friends. The screenshot shown is yet another anecdotal account of Scrubby claiming he was doxed by Lokey. This is not evidence that Lokey doxed Scrubby.
Scrubby had made the naive mistake of sending him some money via PayPal and forgetting to hide his address. Lokey, being the low IQ individual he is, decided to take the information and run with it, posting his address all over the internet for the world to see.
You know, Lokey might be low IQ, but if how you operate in terms of your standard of evidence is anything to go by, I'd guess that your IQ isn't much better. In fact, it might be worse. If Lokey posted this dox all over the internet, surely you can find me an example somewhere of Lokey posting the dox. So why don't you include that? It's like this guy doesn't want me to believe him or something.
The cycle of Lokey's noncery goes as such. Commits atrocious act, downplays the real situation at hand, apologizes once the knives get close to his throat, then finally goes back underground till he fucks over another small creator. The circle of life is a beautiful thing, really, and the reason he's gotten away with it is because nobody takes him seriously.
The cycle of Lokey is not backed up by evidence. It's some pseudo-psychological fanfiction bullshit. Moving on.
He even called the school of another YouTuber and claimed the kid had a gun on him. Yeah, he faked a literal gun scare just based off a joke on Discord.
Again, we have more anecdotal accounts by third parties and no evidence. Lokey, if you're watching this and this was actually true, I think you kind of fucked up here. You need to instead call up their local Walmart first, order a gun, have it sent to the guy's house, and then call the cops and his school.
Beginning of 2018, I became sort of tangled with a group of friends that Lokey was a part of, and I had revealed my face to them in a Discord call under the expectation that no one would leak it, as I hadn't done my face reveal yet. Well, a little bit of time passes, and I start getting messages from people telling me that Lokey has been spreading pictures of my face around, mocking me.
People saying that Lokey was spreading pictures of Turkey Tom around is not evidence that Lokey spread around Turkey Tom's face.
Messaging some of my friends and telling them that it was me, as well as putting it in the announcements channel of his Discord server and pinging everyone, so that he could spread it around to as many people as possible. Shortly after this happened, a sort of YouTube court session was held in a Discord server, during which James Marriott and I had to talk with Davis about what he had done, and he seemed genuinely remorseful for what he had done. He was tearing up in the call, even full on crying at some points.
Is this really Lokey's Discord server? And is that really Lokey? What's the Discord ID? Is that the same Discord ID used by the YouTuber Lokey? How can you confirm this? Why don't you confirm this? If Lokey confesses to posting the face reveal in a call, play the part for us when he confesses to it. Was this recorded? Why don't you play it? Why are you all so fucking inept?
Well, I was obviously angry with him for this, and after finding out that he had extracted naked pictures from minors knowingly, I was absolutely done with his bullshit. After I brought some of these screenshots to light on Twitter, one of Davis's former friends and
Tom makes the claim that Lokey solicited naked pictures from a minor. An SMS screenshot is used as evidence of this action. The screenshot simply has somebody with the name Davis speaking to another person about getting nudes. Anybody can rename a contact to Davis. Is this the Lokey Davis? How can you connect these SMSs to the YouTuber Lokey? With a phone number? Are you sure you know that this person is in fact a minor? How old are they? Are you sure you know how old Lokey is? Can you post proof? This guy is soliciting nude images from an alleged minor? You better have concrete as fuck evidence that this is true. This is nowhere near concrete evidence. By not making a good case for your claims, Lokey could file a defamation suit against you. Not to mention that you come on the public space with these claims and you do almost nothing to back them up. And then you expect some of us to agree with you. It might work on people who are easily swayed by such arguments, but you're not dealing with those kind of people right now. Tell me why I should believe anything you say, you idiot.
Benji released a tweet longer about the situation and his thoughts on what had happened. Since him and I had developed such a great and congenial friendship, I had given him the highest role out of all of my roles in my old Discord server. This was the first mistake. Having such a high rank in the server, he would abuse his power frequently by kicking, banning, and harassing members of the Discord server if they ever did anything in the slightest to antagonize him.
More anecdotes about how Lokey was a meanie mod. That's not evidence. Who gives a fuck?
I think it's now abundantly clear that Lokey doesn't really know when to stop.
All that is abundantly clear is your lack of competence.
Here he is discussing titty pictures with an alleged 13-year-old. He even went so far as to block her on Twitter when she refused to send him pictures without her bra, asking to be called daddy, which I guess...
Aubrey acknowledges that this is an alleged 13-year-old. He doesn't even know if this is a real 13-year-old, yet he uses the entire content of the SMS messages in the video as evidence, attempting to demonstrate that Lokey is a scumbag. If you do not know whether or not something is true, why do you use it as evidence exactly? What are you implying? Again, nobody has proven this is in fact Lokey in the SMS messages. Nobody proves that this person is actually a minor. Nobody proves Lokey's age. Nobody can attach Davis on the SMS messages to the YouTuber Lokey. This, I conclude, is not good evidence. So what I recommend to J. Aubrey and all these other retarded fucking autists is to stop making these kinds of videos. It's clearly outside of your competence and your abilities.
Black Wolf Company begins his scathing expose of Lokey titled Exposing a YouTube Predator with a hilarious joke about the Lokey of Marvel fame. Funny meme. He takes a jab at his content, claiming he'd rather watch SS Sniper Wolf, while lacking the self-awareness to realize that he, like many of his ilk, is a dime a dozen commentary channel, the most basic bitch genre of YouTuber.
The things that this 16-year-old boy has done can't be excused by a simple boys will be boys attitude. He needs to be held accountable for his actions because what they represent is a much more serious issue long term. Ignoring this won't make it go away, but more or less make it worse.
He claims that Lokey has done quite a lot of morally ambiguous actions, which in turn has made him the laughingstock of the commentary community. Again, this is a community that isn't exactly the most prestigious of the upper echelons of engaging content on YouTube, so that's not really saying much.
Lokey's real name is Davis, and he's known to many popular creators with the likes of I'm Alex, Inaba, and even Pyrocynical.
Apparently, Lokey's real name is Davis, and we're just supposed to believe this claim without any proof to back it up. Black Wolf Company then makes these claims about our boy Lokey.
In short, he's been called out for scamming people by not paying them or charging them back. He's been called out for begging for money and then not honoring his repayment. And he's also been called out for dropping people's private information just cause he can. He's a wonderful chap, isn't he?
Now, these claims range from being mildly sketchy to outright egregious, with the last one being the most damning. But as you'll come to notice is a motif that both H8FUL and Sheldon have brought up through this trilogy of hard-hitting exposure, there is little to no concrete evidence to support any of these claims about Lokey's actions and character.
Because he made friendships with some of these other creators, they gave him a platform to stand on. They made him moderator in their Discord servers. They featured him in tweets, you name it. Any sort of attention he received gave him that extra bit of relevance in their communities. Given Lokey's past, it would be safe to assume that such a position of power over the average follower would eventually be used for his own self-interest. After scamming so many people, deceiving them, his response to being given power would be to abuse it. And abuse it he did.
BWC then begins to spin us the tale of Benji, a 13-year-old YouTuber with a sizable fan base, as he claims in his TwitLonger. Benji and Lokey apparently met on Discord and became fast friends, so much so that Benji gave Lokey the highest rank in his own personal Discord server. But this, according to Benji, was a mistake that led to disaster. Lokey allegedly began abusing his power as an admin by indiscriminately kicking and banning members left and right, as well as harassing them.
Because of Benji's age and the nature of his content, it's not surprising that he has a much younger audience. There's probably a core age range of 12 through to 15 or 16 that watch his videos and follow him online. To his TwitLonger, Benji described that a downfall soon occurred. The power Lokey was given began to be abused. From kicking people, banning them, or harassing them, he became the dictator of Benji's Discord server. This irritated Benji, so he confronted Lokey directly. But the weasel that Lokey is slammed his way out of any real repercussions.
Now, considering how large of a fan base Benji has and the fact that he's the owner of the server, you would think there would be some evidence of this supposed dictator-esque behavior via audit logs or screenshots of Lokey being a tyrant, but nope, apparently all you have to do to prove someone is an abusive prick is claim that they are, and then provide no concrete evidence to back up said accusation. Hashtag listen and believe. Now, Black Wolf moves on to the more egregious of Lokey's alleged transgressions, claiming that he was using the influence he had as a friend of larger YouTubers to manipulate girls into giving him nudes.
We know that he abused his Discord powers, but that doesn't compare to how he abused his relationship with Benji.
Subsequent to Lokey unrightfully banning people from my server, I had also been informed he had been leaking my face and promising viewers for me to follow them if they ever sent him nudes. Now, of course, I would never agree to such a revolting claim. All of these girls were between the age of 13 to 16 years of age, and I found it absolutely sickening, as I would never ever agree to such a statement, and I banned him from my Discord server.
This is an issue. It happens far too frequently on YouTube, with the amount of pedophiles and predators that have been exposed. Nobody seems to take it seriously. The possession of these nudes is possession of child pornography. That is illegal. Any possession of lewd imagery from a person under the age of 18 is considered as possessing child pornography, and it is punishable with jail time as well as heavy fines. This is actually very serious. The easiest defense he has against these claims is that he never actually received the nudes from the young girls, is that there is so much substantial evidence indicating the manipulative tendencies of Lokey that it's impossible for a simple rebuttal without any clear-cut evidence proving otherwise. Likewise, we can't just openly accuse him of possessing child pornography. That would be slander.
For a brief moment, we see a modicum of intelligence from this man, as he admits that they have no solid evidence that he received any nudes from these girls, and he even recognizes that making a claim of such magnitude without having said evidence would be slanderous. Despite this brief glimmer of hope, Black Wolf doubles down and says that the evidence they do have is enough to establish a pattern of behavior, which is enough to apparently warn others about the terrifying predator, who by the way is 16.
We can raise concerns, however, that this may be the case, and justify our claims with evidence indicating his intent on receiving nude imagery from young girls.
Now, I want you all to get ready for this, because this is some good shit right here. The sole piece of actual concrete evidence in the entire video are a couple of screenshots of someone who is assumed to be Lokey asking for bra pics from an allegedly 13-year-old girl. First of all, where is the age, my man? Then there's the fact that this person who is named Davis does not necessarily have to be Lokey. The third and most egregious fact is that this happened on iMessage. Dude, that would mean this bitch had his phone number. Why didn't you use it to report and dox this nigga? Even with the one piece of actual substantial proof you have in this video, it's basically proven nothing. Hell of a job, mate.
There's one trend with Lokey, and that's his sexual objectification of girls. He will abuse his power to get what he wants, and one girl named Hannah, who has put up with him for over the last year, has decided it's time for her experiences with him to be shared.
Then we get to my favorite part, the victim's testimony. This is some juicy shit, ladies and gentlemen. This girl who goes by the name of Hannah begins to share her experiences with Lokey, detailing his lasciviousness and sexual deviancy.
Before his full YouTube career, when he had a small Discord server, I met him through a mutual friend who was 14 at the time. She told me about Lokey, explaining that he was 17 and giving her a photo of him. However, to our realization, the photo wasn't even him and his age was faked. She even told me he asked for special photos even knowing she was a minor. And to my knowledge, she did not send anything sexual to him. But this is the point where him and I begin to associate. To start off, yes, he asked for my nudes multiple times with people in the call or just in my DMs. He always did try to ask for nudes from me and my former friends. I did not send anything to lay any doubts to rest. He asked for nudes with another guy in the call and told the other guy to leave, and when he did, he begged for me to send special photos of me to his Snap. He even went as far as giving me his phone number. He wanted me to VC, show my boobs, and moan for him. Moan to get him off. But I said no, that I'm going to take a shower. And he said he wanted to see me in the shower. After that incident, he acted like it never happened. No one has talked about, but there's one thing he has done that honestly scares me every time I think about it. There was a photo in his first server I met him in where a girl cut his name, Lokey, into her arm.
Again, despite the fact that she claims some of these incidents occurred in DMs, for some strange reason, these DMs are never shown in the video and are not even present in the Google Doc that has all the testimonials from Lokey's victims. As this testimony continued and began to have even more outlandish accusations, such as Lokey asking one of his fans to cut his name into her arm for him, a thought occurred to me. This testimony reminded me of the resident thought of the brony community, Sega Sister. Now, for those of you who are fortunate enough to not be aware of the lore of the giant tumor that is the brony analysis community, I'll give you a brief rundown. A dude named Toon Critic was exposed for ERPing and trying to solicit nudes from a minor. More of his victims started to come out about their experiences with him, one of these being Sega Sister. In her testimony that had no evidence, she claimed that Toon made passes at her and asked her to show off, which she willingly agreed to do, by the way. I bring this up to make a point. People believed Sega Sister without question and gave her the status of victim, despite not having any evidence to back up these claims and further unnecessarily demonizing Toon. This is the same thing that is happening in the case of Lokey, although I would argue that at least Hannah was able to resist the charms of her supposed abuser, unlike Sega, whose thottery could not be contained. Finally, Black Wolf closes off this absolute aneurysm of a video with a call to action, that we must ensure that Lokey faces consequences for these baseless accusations and that more people need to speak up about him. He claims that there are people who are still supporting him and doesn't call these people out despite the fact that they are endorsing someone who he believes is a manipulative sexual predator. I find it hilarious how these types of channels always espouse the mantra of looking at situations with a critical eye and making sure that what they're saying is accurate. Yet in this instance, all of that seems to be thrown out the window the minute it negatively affects them in any fashion. Now, before we close up this gay ops exposure, my boy H8FUL wants to discuss something.
Unlike the past two videos, BWC included a Google Doc of extra evidence, all of which is testimonial. Some of these were clearly taken from DMs on Twitter and CP'd from Discord. Again, no solid proof to go off of, just words. In fact, the last message is unironically labeled Discord text. We don't even know who these people are, let alone if this is genuine testimony.
Exceptional work, Black Wolf. You're a clear demonstration of why commentary channels are the lowest common denominator on YouTube.
The same day BWC's video on Lokey was uploaded, Keemstar had approached him in DMs. This screenshot could have been faked and not solid enough evidence that this actually happened. Digging through the messages in BW's server by searching up his name, I found several instances where Lokey was brought up. One message of note made on January 19th, 2019 by a user named Chrome states that Lokey spoke with Keemstar and debunked all of his points. Again, I don't know if this is the case. I've tried to reach out to both Lokey and Keemstar but never got a response or chance to sit down with either of them in regards to this issue. I've gone on Keem's channel and did not find a video covering Lokey or when I searched Lokey's name on YouTube. If this were the case and these chain of events genuinely happened, it further strengthens the fact on how weak their evidence was in their videos. I was never involved with the commentary community. I don't know or care of any of the members within this niche of YouTube content. What I care about, regardless of the community, is if you're outing a sexual predator or pedophile, you need to have the facts facts to back these claims. We're not white knighting for Lokey or saying he's an innocent man. We agree these things may have happened, but our point of contention is that these videos have little to no credibility to meet these claims, let alone the narrative or outcomes. I understand that when victims of these certain circumstances don't want to come forward, especially at their age range. Our hope is that when more victims come forward, you'll be able to collect the necessary information and analytics in the future. You guys say there's proof out there, but yet again, not much of it is credible. A Twitter user by the name of Mr. I Nabber posted back in July 2nd of 2017 that Lokey may have pulled back on payment on Jamie Pine.
Yeah, Jamie didn't do what I said, so I was thinking about charging back all the $250 I gave him.
Okay, did he do this? If so, show the proof of pulling back the payment. During FNGR's stream, a member within his circle by the name of Coyote Lovely had informed me of a video that had come out after BWC's video. This was uploaded February 25th, 2019. Lokey admitted to viewbotting on other channels and on one of his own videos.
Look, did you viewbot though?
I viewbotted on other channels before.
So I'm assuming that's just another way to tell us that you viewbotted on your main channel. So
on my main channel, I have with a video before.
Confessions aside, that only proves so much. Material evidence is the key. This still doesn't prove the main issue. If he has been manipulating underage girls and soliciting child pornography, this isn't 17th century Salem where people can just burn and condemn people with little to no evidence. You need to gather a sufficient amount of proof to make a claim and demands on someone's platform. Thank you for watching, and never cease to be hateful.
Faggot.